This band is Sallyswag. It's a great band from Sweden that has not been heard very much outside of Sweden, I think, or at least not in the United States. This will be their premier US concert. And I am very excited to be part of this happening. What is a typical process for how a Sallyswag's arrangement comes together?
Well, I mean, in the beginning when we started to play together, it was like a journey finding out how to work, but we were kind of just playing around, like being silly. And what happens if I do this? What do you feel like playing to this? And that's kind of how the first song started. I think really was um, yeah, showing me this hip hop beat, and I just felt this would go really well with this hulling. And it's not what you would think would work, but when you try it, you just feel like, yeah, that sounds good. So lots of trying. I don't know what you guys feel.
Yeah, I agree. That's what happened. I mean, we're all so different and we come from so many different backgrounds. So it was like, okay, here we are. What we gonna do? You know, brings their thing. We're just like, okay. Well, that's how I felt anyway. I just openly embraced everything and just tried to do my thing on that with that. I think that's what Sallyswag is a lot.
Excellent. I'm gonna sort of switch back and forth between the questions that have come in and some of my own questions. So Sandy Joda asked how the band was born in the first place. How did you come together?
Okay, so maybe I'll take this one. But it was actually, I was sitting on Facebook one day when I saw this question: who wants to start a new band? It has to be all female band, and it's gonna be a world music band. The best proposal will win paid rehearsal time and a tour and a gig at this super nice festival that I played with the other band that's called Navara once before, and loved that place. So I was like, that's a nice idea. And when I read through all the comments, that really got me fueled, because it was so many people saying, well, if it's only females, it's not going to be any good, and it's just going to be violin and song. And I was like, oh, that's what I know. But and it's, yeah, if it's not going to be like, it's not going to be real music, and it's not going to be powerful, whatever. And I just felt like, that's just so wrong. Of course it's going to be interesting music. If I mean, I know so many good female musicians and singers, so I just wanted to prove them wrong. And I kind of in my head envisioned this powerful big group of really good instrumentalists and singers, and just yeah, phoned people. And that's how, and so many of us have never played before the band was started, and that was like only fiction in the beginning. And then we won. And yeah, the rest is history. We toured a lot. And
So who created that original post?
It was a gala, like we have a folk music gala once a year. So we have regional music institutions that you can tour through in Sweden, and so lots of those regional institutions came together to finance that creation of a band, and also the people planning that gala. So yeah, folk music institutions mainly, and the opera house in Umeå or something like that.
Naomi Sheeman wonders how you got your name, Sallyswag.
So it's gonna be lots of answering from my side. No, but the other ones have lots to say as well. Well, it's just like Sally, that's a nice girl's name, and swag. Just I wanted something that you could feel a lot of energy, and saying something about what you might hear, but not too obvious. So yeah, swag can mean so many things, but it's like a dance expression. So yeah, just yeah, power somehow.
Excellent. Can you talk about some of the different ways that you express your politics through your music and through your activity as a band?
Speaking from my point of view as a lyricist, writing lyrics, I always try to just speak from my experience. So being a woman and then being a Black woman, I have the equality umbrella, but also the pro-Black anti-racist umbrella, which we all kind of share, especially like the anti-racist thing. So that it's a lot of that in the lyrics. I mean, we've always been like a käftsmäll. How did you translate that, David?
I said so. I said in the initial publicity, I wrote "kick in the teeth," and that is wrong. It's not the best. I think "sucker punch" is better.
Sucker punch, yeah.
Sucker punch, yeah.
Sounds more like it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've always been that, because just, you know, a statement of us all being not men. So I don't know, does anyone want to fill in on that? It's quite obvious what we stand for.
The reason how we came together as a band has really been like a very solid foundation on where what we want to do as a band. I mean, I think we feel responsibility actually to sort of be role models for younger women that would want to play an instrument or want to take up a lot of space, like sound-wise and also on stage. So I think that sort of started the whole, you could call it activism or politics, but it came naturally. And then other important topics like anti-racism and so forth just came naturally that's how I see it.
Yeah, being a role model to young people, especially young girls, has been something we've experienced that we are. And it's been a lot of love in that, getting that from them. And I think that has pushed us to just continue to try and just, you know, set good examples, I guess, but just encourage them to start bands and take a lot of space. Yeah.
So sort of following up on that, I think that a lot of people internationally aren't really aware of sort of issues that are specific to Afro-Swedes. Maybe even in Sweden, people aren't that aware. And I just wondered if you could say some things about what are the sort of circumstances that make the song Klara oss necessary?
When I wrote the song, I wanted to just, which was like 4 years ago, I just wanted to write the song. It was in the beginning of my journey as like being openly pro-Black and not being ashamed of that, which you can be in a society like Sweden. But so I just wanted to write a song with like giving power and spirit and positivity, like yeah, just pep to people from the African diaspora living in Sweden, Afropeans, Afro-Swedes, to just give power to us. And that was it. And then when I sent the song to Sanna, who sings it with me, she sings the chorus, and she was like, yeah, I love the song, but you know, I don't know really, like, you know, I'm not Black, and how am I supposed to sing this? And this is, you know, and then we just came together, like, it was her idea that, yeah, I sing it for you. Like, I sing it to tell you that we will all make it. Like, we got your back. white people got your back. We are all in this together. Now I forgot the question, but
so I was asking about the circumstances in Sweden that make that song necessary.
Well, we have a political party. I don't know if I'm supposed to mention that, but
you can.
Yeah,
we can get real here.
Sweden Democrats.
Yeah,
and they are just not rooting for any of us, basically, and they are just driving this force that needs to be killed, you know, just X'd out. I mean, what can I say? There's a lot of racism going on in Sweden, all over the world, and the racism here in Sweden, I think, is more of a structural racism, more than like, you know, walking down the street and people yelling at you. And I think it's a structural racism that is mostly even more dangerous, because it's very inside of the way you talk to people, the way you were raised to just think about other people of color. It's in the systems, it's in the organizations, it's everywhere. So yeah, it's deep. Yeah. That's why I felt the urge to just write a song and be like, keep going, we can do this.
Yeah, it's an
we
amazing,
all can do this. Yeah,
it's an amazing song. So yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm just going to see if there are other questions that have come in while I was listening to that. I think that other questions have been answered from other people. Sandy Joda wants to know if you are going to keep making songs and keep playing together, and just wants you to never stop. It seems like that was. So are you? What are the plans? I guess the question is, what are your plans for the future as a band?
Yeah. Well, no one knows, but right now we aim for continuing, and we try to like survive these days of the pandemic. But we just recorded new songs, and it's yeah, it will be amazing. I think I've heard it, and so yeah, I'm looking forward to release that one. And this one we have never played outside of Sweden. That's a big step for us, actually. So we should celebrate that. So we just continue working. We are many members working a lot, different kind of things. But Sallyswag, we've been playing for what is it? 7 years. That's a long time. But I think, yeah, we will continue. Of course, we will continue. Yeah, so we'll just what do you say? Lyssna på vår nya musik som kommer snart.
Listen to the new music.
Yeah, and please spread it.
Yeah. Fantastic. You mentioned in the program that you sent that that song "Vad jag har lovat," which is the sort of traditional Swedish song, was one of the first arrangements that you did. Can you talk a little bit about the musical and the lyrical choices that you make in that song?
Vad jag har lovat?
Vad jag har lovat.
Erika Halling. It's right?
No. It's
they're reggae. So we mixed reggae together with so it's I think it's normally a polska, the song. I think it's
Rejnländer.
And then we also have a Scottish, like a
that's right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a mix.
But I mean, the song is normally 3/4, right? So we made it slow down, but that's also a way to sing it, like free form. But someone just, I think it was Nadina, our first bass player, like she wanted to put this reggae. She had this reggae idea, and we tried it, and it just brought something new to the song, and it made sense. And yeah, it was a hit in Umeå Folk Festival.
One of the first songs 7 years ago. So I'm like, what was it now again? But it's definitely reggae, yes, with the Rhinelander and Polska, I guess, which is Nordic folk music.
Yeah.
Scandinavian folk music.
We normally have a jazz solo on the trumpet as well in the middle, and there's toast, like Jamaica stuff in there as well. So lots of flavor in that stew.
Yeah.
In the program, I don't know if people at home have read the program, but you use a lot of the sort of that cooking metaphor.
Yeah, we say it in Sweden as well, like a gryta, like a stew, like when you just put lots of stuff, make it boil for a long time, and the flavors.
And it's a great metaphor. I mean, cooking and music, you can add spices from all over the world, and you can still make them come together in new and interesting ways. So food and music have a lot in common in that sense.
Yeah.
Right. Smörgåstårta is also one thing our trumpet player used to say that we are.
Okay.
How do you say that in English?
Don't, because that's not like, I think maybe you should explain what that is, because
Smorgasbord, like, don't you say that? Like
we do say smorgasbord, but smorgastorta is a thing that is a concept that we do not have, and that I think that more people around the world should know about. So please explain.
It's disgusting.
Right?
I hate smorgastorta.
I love it.
Oh no.
Right. Sandwich cake. It's like a savory cake that's just made out of things that are sandwich items.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Big mix.
Is that right? Shrimp sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Right. How about that song? The song Mi Tierra. The sort of the musical and language choices that you're making in that song, right? Which is about sort of this rural northern Sweden, but does not lean on sort of rural northern Swedish music or language.
Yeah, it's our drummer actually. She went to South America and played lots there, and was taught the cumbia. So it's got lots of cumbia flavor. So she should really be the one talking about that song. But it was made by that root. I guess, I don't know if you have something to say, the others.
Yeah. Sorry. I was just gonna say oh no, never mind. I was mixing it up with the other song. It's cumbia, not lando. Go ahead, Polly.
Okay. Well, Sanna Eriksson wrote the lyrics, and I think she also went to South America for a period in her life and lived in Bolivia. So I think it started off with this cumbia and then Andino melodies. And I think that since she's from the north of Sweden, she did that connection between the Andines and the north of Sweden, and just, yeah, added that text of, that sort of battle song for keeping all parts of the land alive, and also not to just drain rural areas from natural resources and then not give anything back. So I think it's mainly Sanna Eriksson's work combining that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I am seeing we have some new questions coming in from the crowd, so I would like to ask some of those. So Sandy Jauda, by the way, Sandy Jauda also mentioned that you should all come to Paris, which is why some of you in the audience may have seen some mysterious text messages about Paris going back and forth. I think you were only seeing half of that conversation. So that's where that came from. But Sandy also wonders, there are earlier concerts where there's some songs that that they have not heard of and can't find on YouTube or Spotify. And are there places where they can find are there places where you can find your songs that are not as obvious, or will you release them? Some of these older songs.
In our upcoming EP, if you say that in English.
Yes.
Yes, that we will probably release next year. There's 5 of those songs that we played today on there. So most of the songs we played, you will hear in the future. We will release them.
Excellent.
Erica, did you want to say something?
Yeah, we made a cover. If they see, like, there are some like filmed on old cell phones on YouTube, maybe they'll see music. So we made a cover of this great Somalian song called Doyo by Dur Band, and you can actually find the original on Spotify. It's really good. So Somalia meets funk. Excellent music. Check them out. Dur Band. Maybe I should write that in the chat because
you should.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite songs that we used to play, but we don't play it anymore.
And actually, the following up, there's another question. What sort of music and musicians have you found inspirational? That sounds like one. Are there others that you really, other groups that you have gotten inspiration from?
Oh, I don't know. Everyone has, I think, very different thoughts of that. I don't know. I have nothing in mind for just Sallyswag, but I find inspiration from many different. I don't know. Do you have? I haven't thought of that. I don't know.
Me neither.
I think that's a fine answer. Also, it's like no, we're our own new thing. Everyone has their own individual inspirations, but as a band, it doesn't have to come from somewhere else necessarily.
Yeah, while starting the band, I was kind of thinking of lots of bands consisting of many people, like the bigger bands. I don't know if I wouldn't say big band, but so there's this band called Simbi. It's a great Haiti funk Gothenburg band. And there's also this street band. They were made from being street musicians, like playing for people just out in crowds. And they are called Räven, like a very messy, unpolished, in-your-face band. They're huge in Japan now. But and I was also thinking of Östblocket. It's a really fun Balkan in Swedish band, and all of these bands that I really like to go to festivals and dance to, they mainly consist of all men, or like one female singer maybe, or one female accordionist player. So that's, when I was thinking about starting this band, I just wanted a band kind of like that, but with what would happen if the majority was female. That was, and it's kind of blew folk music Sweden away, and I think somehow that also started us getting interested in this question about gender, because for me, I've been a professional musician for years before this band, and I've never really thought of that I normally am maybe the only woman in those bands that I'm in. And I haven't been thinking like that's because females are worse at playing instruments. Just like that's what it just happens to be that way. And it seems like when you're starting bands, you take the people you know of, like my friend la la la, he plays the blah blah blah, and somehow we forget the women in those processes. And we really didn't forget to ask the women in making Sallyswag. And also when we have substitutes, like on this concert, we had lots of substitutes, or if that's what you say, it's like on drums
Ringers,
and guitar.
I guess.
Huh?
Yeah, ringers.
Yeah. So drums and guitar, help me,
and bass.
and bass, yeah. And this, and but we were like a collective. We are 30 people maybe that has been on stage as a member of Sallyswag. So there are lots of people involved. So we really had to get to know lots of great musicians, and that's been nice. And I also think that's been an eye-opener. Like, why don't I know more female guitar players, or why don't I know more female anything? And now we do, because we've been thinking about it, and they're great.
Yeah.
Long answer.
No, that's great. It's fantastic. So Paul Prescott asked this question. So he mentions that you talk about rural communities, and he's wondering if you've toured across Sweden, and if so, what changes about your show when you tour in different locations, and what have you learned by touring?
It's a really interesting question. We have been touring quite a bit, like both to smaller folk festivals around, but also like going to schools and play for children, maybe 10 to 16 years old. And I think a few of my strongest memories with touring with Sallyswag and playing have been actually those concerts that we've done for kids. I know that we were north in Sweden, Timrå. It's a small place north of Sundsvall, and we played actually this dojo, the one cover that we played from Dur band, and there were quite a few young girls from Somalia or Ethiopia there, and they were just so happy that we played one of their songs, and that was really cool. And also, I mean, in Sweden we have quite a mixed population since 10 or 20 years or so. So when we come somewhere and maybe we play open in a park and everyone can come, and there will be some people that may not go to concert halls and listen to music, but out in the street in a park, we meet them and we might play, if not a tune from their original home country, but like a flavor from it. That kind of response is amazing. So that is really cool.
So Amy Kaminsky, who is my mom, asked this question. Is there, and this is in response to what you're talking about from what Erika was saying about your experience being mostly in mostly male bands. Is the dynamic different with an all-woman band?
Most definitely.
But then again, when it comes to music, it's the same work. It's all about putting it together, finding the right groove and intonation and melodies and who's playing what. So when it comes to the actual music work, I'd say it's the same, 100% the same. But then again, you know, you have a coffee break and you might talk about different things.
You know?
Yeah,
So what,
I mean, in this society, it's not very common to be 9 women in a room working together, and I think it's easy to have prejudice that to bring ideas about how that's supposed to work, and I think we've all been influenced by that in our working together, like being scared of what people might think of you and all those kind of things. But we've really tried and worked together to keep our room like a safe space, and it's been really nice. And for me, mostly it's a big thing is that we've really been able to talk about female experiences as musicians, and it kind of made me more interested in those questions, and also it's been so visible seeing how women are treated in the music business, because now I have heard so many experiences, so that I think would be the biggest difference, like to hear more stories.
So I have one final question, and this one comes in from Mulingisi Ntembu, who says, "Thank you so much for the great concert. How has Sweden and the rest of the world received your message?"
Quite good, I think. Well, at least Sweden. I was just thinking about the questions that came in, like touring, meeting all the young people, and knowing that, you know, what we do really makes a difference, and that has just given us as a group, but individually for myself, the drive and the motivation to stay in the band and prioritize it and keep going and keep writing songs, and so I think especially in Sweden, but obviously across the world, we are important.
Excellent.
There were lots of expectations when before our very first gig, since it was like everybody knew that a new band was coming, and there was going to be a seminar the day after the concert where they were going to discuss, like, was this a good idea or not? It was kind of interesting, and it was a huge response, like that concert, like so many people were there listening in Umefolk and screaming and dancing, and it was just awesome. And also, I mean, we had never been standing on the same stage together before, so we've just been rehearsing, so it was so much fun for us. And it kind of it kind of made an explosion in the folk music society in Sweden, so we won an award later on for Newcomer of the Year and that kind of thing, because it kind of was a success. But then also, like, also that lots of other bands have been started. I don't know if it's a consequence because of Sallyswag, but there are female bands. That sounds weird, but I mean bands that consist of female musicians that play blues. There's Lady Got the Blues that we've played together with that are great, and there are lots of other bands with younger members coming up. And I think, I mean, that we inspire each other, to make it possible. Yeah.